In 2023, at around August, somewhere there, at 2 a.m. in the morning, it was around Wednesday in the morning, 2 a.m., a young man was brought into the emergency room. And the results of that morning was, remember it was raining. And as you all know, that I work as a nurse in an emergency unit. This young man was brought accompanied by uh, a group of motorbike riders. He was They were all soaked in blood. Mm. Yeah, like I was saying, it was raining in the morning, and this gentleman, they were around 7 to 8 gentlemen accompanying this guy. Um, it was an emergency, and they rushed into the emergency room, all wet from rain, and they were all shouting, "Emergency! Where are the doctors? Where are the nurses here?" And we had to spring up into action. Um, and we rushed into the scene, got the guy, and brought him to the bed. And the first thing we have to do is probably try to assess the airway, this patient breathing, all those things that you do inside an emergency room. And it was unfortunate that as we were looking at all a whole of his body and everything else, trying to check out if he's still alive or something, because it looked really traumatic from the events. He had lost a lot of blood, and there was an opening in his skull right here, which showed like he really had lost so much blood from the experience itself. Looking at these guys who brought him, I don't know if they're family, but I came to let her know that one of them was family. Others were just accompanying him. I don't know what they were doing at around 2 a.m. in the morning while it's raining, but they really, they really was so much focused into us, telling us that, you really have to help this guy. He really has to be alive. I mean, what do you mean? You really have to help him. And his pulse was not there. He wasn't there anymore. Judging from the brains and also everything, his body was cold. It looked like he had passed out and, you know, got unalived before he arrived at the hospital. Also, judging from the loss of blood that had happened to him, it was really impossible to bring him back. Normally, we do what you call compressions or chest compressions if there is still a chance, but this looked really difficult. I still remember the events of that morning quite vividly. Now, looking from this guy, he was around, I think when we are just trying to get things out of this guy, probably clothes, in an emergency room, we try to cut off with some Thomas scissors, try to remove the clothes and everything else and see. And deeping into his pockets, we got his name and the age, of course. He was around 23 years of age. He was actually, let's say 22, he was not 23 yet from his identification. And also and then his relative who happened to be his cousin, definitely, also confirmed to us that he was around 22.5 years, somewhere there. Um, but we had lost him. Yeah, we lost him. This was not the first case of us losing someone inside the emergency room. So it's not like it is different from the rest. I mean, we all lose patients most of the time. Sometimes patients come in while they're deceased, and there is nothing we can do much. You know, that is or, you know, being unalived or not being alive anymore is part and parcel of life. And we all are not going to be here forever. Yeah, that's the most important thing. But the most signifying thing about this experience was when I looked at this young man, how he was dressed, he looked really organized. I could tell from the way he was having a good watch. He looked clean. He looked really decent in real life, you know? Like he had really good shaving, even though there was a lot of blood in his head due to the trauma. His clothes were really good. It looked, though they were wet, but it looked like he really had style. Um, and it looked really elegant with how he appeared. Most people there also expressed that he has been a good person, that he has been a nice person, that we have to really do anything that we can to help him. But one sad thing about this is this morning he was found um, at around 2 a.m. in the morning. He was found in someone else's compound. How do I put it? I mean, he was sleeping with someone else's wife, if I can put it that way. Um, the wife or this the husband of this woman who happened to not be there was walking somewhere right very far from where this guy was staying. But I think it happens that this guy and this lady used to date before this lady got married, and now the friendship didn't really end when the lady got married, so they could see each other from time to time. And as a young man, he had every opportunity to try and meet other people. But I understand it could be quite difficult. But here's one thing: I think when you used to be friends with someone and then they got married, there's a dynamic of how friendship is supposed to change. There's a dynamic with how the things that you used to talk about has to change. It really has, because they are not the same people anymore. You're not the same. You shouldn't be the same person that you are with them. Is exactly what I'm trying to say. Um, it was found in the morning. Uh, I wouldn't say it was. It was actually driving, and then no, I think someone hit him on the head. I can't know. Maybe someone had been suspecting of the same forever for some time, and when they found him, he decided to do the unimaginable, which was really bad. And of course, the guy who hit him with a metal bar on the head. Of course, he also was arrested. Definitely, I can't really know who that was. I don't really need to know that. But what I really wanted to talk about was the fact that this young man who had a very promising future died. Uh, he was very young. He really had a lot of important things to do in his life, but there was no particular time that you will be able to wake up again and continue to finish all these projects. So we were having a chat with his cousin brother who accompanied with a group of the motorbike guys. They told us that this guy was a hardworking guy. He had a lot of savings. He was respected at his young age, even though after he finished high school, he was not sure if they said he was in campus or the university. But one thing I wanted to know was I didn't really care about what his relationships were with, the woman that was found, which the woman was also, was also injured and was brought to the hospital, but she survived and then she's okay. But it was for this guy. Um, the things that he did with his life, and what kind of decisions he did and resulted him to have his life not to be there anymore. I came to realize that decisions are really important thing. The things that you decide today with your life and how you take your life today, how you live your life really matters. The decisions that you make today will either affect your life in one way or another. I came to realize that as much as we value life and as much as we want to, you know, to live longer lives. We don't really have forever here. And the decisions that we make today, or every time that we make decisions, they may be good or bad decisions, but people are going to be remembered mostly for the things that they did in life. I mean, this guy appeared to be a good guy. Things that he did with his life were always good, I guess, but now he's going to be remembered as someone who slept with someone's wife. Hmm. That's not pretty. And another thing is, all the things that he had done will not be, they may be remembered in a good light, but the last thing that he did will not be remembered in the right way as much as possible. Then I was also thinking, um, when we all die and when we all get to have our lives, get to be finished. One day we are not gonna be here, all of us forever. And then, as the Bible talks about it, we are going to give um we are going to give an account of the things that we did while we were living on this flesh, on this body. I'm a Christian myself, so I know there is life after death. But one thing that I know is for sure, the decisions that you made while you were alive here really are going to follow you. All the actions and the things that you did. It doesn't matter what you did, you know? Now, this guy, I don't know if, but I'm sure is not going to be okay. Young, energetic. I don't really have any opinions of what I can say about it, but I have learned that in life, the decisions that you make, the things that you do today, you're going early in the morning to drink alcohol, wasting your life on drugs, wasting your life on poor decisions, bad friendships. They may not affect you right now. It may look like you basically are having fun or you are enjoying life as it is. Most people like to call it. It's the youth time, the prime age, but that's a decision you're making and you don't really know how much of a life you're going to be living. You don't know how long you're going to be here. And the most important thing is, how are you living? I work in an emergency unit and I see patients come sick, go back home. And I see others, unfortunately, they don't go back home the same way they came. And that is so much concerning. Though it might be a way of life for most people, that is. But I think I'm always thinking about it quite so very much that every time, every time um, that life happens in the way it is, um, how are you going to be remembered? What is the things that you do right now? You don't have people to remember you about it, but what is your purpose with life? As much as you look good on a suit, you look good, you have a good smile, you're very friendly with people. We are all good and nice, but we all have those things that we do when nobody's watching us. Those tiny little details of things that every time that we do those things, it really messes up with us. And I feel like every action that we do really has a way of following us with those actions. Um, I tend to think that we we have a choice to make good decisions. We have a choice. We have a choice to decide how to do good things, how to live a life that is not just for other people, but for ourselves. Deciding with ourselves that we want to do things not for people to see, not for anyone to notice those things, but for us to be in a situation or a position where we feel like we have accomplished things based on ourselves, knowing that we did it for with a good intentions from our hearts. We don't need to do things to impress people, and we don't need to do things just because basically it makes us feel good. Some of the things and the decisions that we do, most of those actions may look really good right now. It may really bring a lot of fulfillment. You may feel so much alive doing it right now, but at what cost? That's what I'm talking about in this episode today. At what cost? It may not bring repercussions to you right now, but you cannot always escape. You cannot always escape the actions that you do, the theft that you have, the things that you're doing to other people. Maybe you are in a higher position, or maybe you're better. You have much money. You have much more power and influence more than other people. And you think you have a way of changing the dynamics of how things are supposed to be. The question is, at what cost? You know, and when I ask myself those questions, because most of the time after I come out from work, I really come sit down in my house and really reflect on what I learned today. Either it's just because of the medical things that I did, I learned, but at the same time, I also sit down to analyze about what did I learn from the things, the people and life, because basically it's about life or no life at all. You know, um, yeah. So the big thing is at what cost? The things you're doing, you can be doing. You've never been in a bad situation of doing it, but one day it looks like it's been compounding and it affects you in one way or another, and there is no escape. And when that happens, nobody's here to help you. You're gonna pay your own things by yourself. We all know the things we do when no one is watching. We all know how much we bridge gaps, how much we mess up, how much we make decisions that are poor, how much we do things to others that we don't like it being done to us, how much we make choices that look really cool to other people, but to ourselves, but to other people is it is a big disaster. That's exactly what I want to talk about in this video today. I don't know what you guys think about it, but it's been a big thing to me thinking about what life means and how important of the things that whatever you do today will compound the next 20 years. That if you're still going to be around here, in the next 50 years, if you're still going to be around here. And are you going to be pretty happy to be remembered as someone who used to drink a lot and didn't do much things with their lives? You want to be remembered as someone who had a family, but didn't really value his family. He valued the things that he chose. He chose a different direction. How do you want to be remembered? Do you want to be remembered as someone who, yeah, they just claim to be a Christian, but their life choices and everything else didn't really match the effort? That saddens me every single day. Think about life in that way. I know life is a big and vast thing that God has really given to us, and we should really appreciate this life. But how to appreciate life more openly is how we live and the choices that we make. I think we really have to ask God for guidance in making the right choices and decisions in today's life. See you in the next episode.